Well, good Friday morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to yet another weekly Friday edition of The Chat, also known as the Alan Fitz Podcast. Good morning to you. My name is Alan Fitz, the host for the program, and welcome into the show. And especially good morning to all of our listeners out there. And we definitely want to say good morning out there to the haters. You are the ones that motivate this program live from our studios right here in Amarillo, Texas. Well, folks, this is a two-part program this morning. We're going to count down the top 5 burger joints, if you will, here in Amarillo, and we're going to crown one of them that has the best burger in town, and then we're going to touch a little bit on the new ticker that is now in operation on my webpage, alanfitz.com. I'm going to tell you what this feature is all about and what you can look forward to each morning when you get up and tune in to alanfitz.com. Especially here, a lot of this is coverage just for the Amarillo area, although sometimes some national headlines will be made on that ticker as well. And we'll get into that later on in the show, but I think, I would think this podcast would probably be more leaning to those of you that have never been here in the Amarillo metropolitan area of the Texas Panhandle. Maybe you're coming up here for the first time. Some of you, it is already June. It is vacation travel time. And a lot of you may be passing through the Amarillo area, and you may have actually wondered at some point, wonder who in Amarillo has the best hamburger. Folks, this is something, and it's not just here in Amarillo, any town, large, small, medium, it doesn't matter what the size is. It seems like a lot of businesses like to have bragging rights against each other in competition of who has the best burger. I believe the question here in Amarillo has been going on for many, many years. Really, who does have the best hamburger? Well, we're going to reveal it on the chat. But first, let me start off, ladies and gentlemen, again and say good morning to everyone as you drink your coffee this morning, listening to the program here at Sunrise. We tried not to involve corporate restaurants in this because when you start involving the corporate restaurants versus what you would think would be or call the mom and pops, folks, in all reality, there is no competition between the corporates and the mom and pops. But then again, I got to thinking, we do need to include the corporates because it's only fair to bring them in, and corporate restaurants would be like, McDonald's, the corporate Sonic restaurants, even Waffle House, the corporate they serve burgers as well. So myself, along with several other people, over a period of time, we began going in. We were telling the restaurants that there was a podcast that we wanted to do in the future, and we wanted to get the name out, especially the one that became number one, the one that is crowned the winner. We wanted to sample some hamburgers, so we were allowed to do that. Of course, as large as Amarillo is, and for those of you that may not know this, according to the last Census Bureau report, the population of Amarillo currently right now stands at 200,393. Again, that's 200,393. That's what you'll find on the city limit markers as you come into the city or leave the city. There's a lot of hamburger joints, hamburger establishments here across the Texas capital city of the Panhandle, and it took a while to go around to every one of them. I don't think we missed one. Now, we weren't able to get down to Canyon because that is, folks, that is a different city, although it is part of the Amarillo metropolitan area. We were not able to get around Canyon. Again, that is a different city, way smaller than Amarillo. But we pretty much were able, I think we got 99% of all the restaurants here that do serve hamburgers or cheeseburgers on their menu. And we tried to stay away from adding cheese on the burgers because as a connoisseur myself of hamburgers, I can tell you that adding cheese can actually take away from some of the taste, especially if they're charbroiled, which would be like Burger King. Okay, that's a corporate restaurant. So we pretty much hit 99%, if not all 100%, of the burger establishments here in Amarillo. And we narrowed it down to the top 5. Okay? Again, we've narrowed it down to the top 5. I will tell you 2 of the restaurants on our top 5 countdown list are corporate restaurants, and the other 3 are localized restaurants here in Amarillo. So let's go ahead and start knocking it out on the program. And we'll start off with number 5, and I know a lot of you are probably going to say, what? When you hear number 5's name here, a lot of you, and they're well known for their Texas brand tacos, if you will. But ladies and gentlemen, actually number 5 on the list as we start off the countdown is Dairy Queen. Now, there are a couple of Dairy Queens here in Amarillo. As a matter of fact, there's only 3 here. The Interstate 40 in Washington. There's also one down on Southwestern Street, which is near, and I'm not looking at anything. I'm having to do this off the top of my head. It's close to Western and just south of Olson. And the other is a Dairy Queen restaurant. It's one of the newer type DQs that have been recently built, is out across on Westgate and Soncy Road out near the mall. And between the 3 of those Dairy Queens that we tried, or sampled, if you will, the one that we felt like came in number 5 was the Dairy Queen at I-40 in Western, which is just to the north of the Amarillo College, or AC, if you will. Go Badgers. Dairy Queen, again, is well known across the entire state of Texas for its T-brand tacos, their blizzards and things like that. But the Dairy Queen on I-40 in Washington actually makes pretty good burger, folks. They really do. The vegetables were very, very fresh. But we kind of concentrated more on, of course, the beef patty itself. We were able to tell that the patty was frozen. And I don't know how many of you watch Diners, Drive-In, and Dives, the old Food Network show with Guy Fieri. He explained a long time ago how you can tell the difference between a fresh hamburger patty versus a frozen hamburger patty. Yes, Dairy Queen does use a frozen patty. However, it is cooked very, very slowly. And one of the things that we judged in the top 5 countdown of the best burgers here in Amarillo is not only the preparation of how the patty is cooked, but also the seasoning that is added to it. Seasoning on a hamburger patty can mean, especially if you're in competition off somewhere, like they have the chili cook-off down at Terlingua, Texas, down around the Big Bend area every year in that ghost town. The chili seasoning is something that is really important when it comes to judging this type of thing. And the same applies with hamburger patties as well. The seasoning that is used. A lot of places do not use seasoning. They allow their customers basically to salt and pepper to taste. But the Dairy Queen did use a little bit of light seasoning. It had a little bit of smoky flavoring to it, although it was very, very weak. I can tell from the sample that I took from the DQ at I-40 and Washington, that there near Amarillo College, there is a very weak smoke taste to the patty, which always is a plus, especially when you're judging hamburgers. One of the reasons that the smoke flavor is important, mainly because, when hamburgers first came out, they were always cooked on a grill. They went to a charcoal. Personally, from my standpoint, ladies and gentlemen, I think charbroiled burgers are actually better than natural gas cooked burgers. But the Dairy Queen did make the list. It comes in number 5. They do have a pretty good burger right there at I-40 in Washington. Again, they are located in 2 other places in Amarillo. You can visit your local Dairy Queen. On Southwestern, just a couple of blocks to the south of Olson Boulevard. And then again, if you happen to be out there shopping at Westgate Mall, they are located at the corner of Westgate and Sauncey Road. So number 5 on the list is the Dairy Queen, and that location is at Interstate 40 and Washington near the Amarillo College. From the 3 Dairy Queens that we went to, this one here definitely made the ranking at number 5 for the burger. Coming in number 4 on our list to the countdown of the best burger here in Amarillo, well, this is yet another corporate restaurant. And this name will sound very familiar to you, especially if you live here in the Great Lone Star, because the Texas Senate actually named it one of the greatest burger places in Texas. It's Whataburger, and I'm sure everyone has heard that name. I'm sure everyone out there at some given time has ate at a Whataburger. And there are many locations here in Amarillo of Whataburger. We don't have enough time to go in to where they're all located. However, the one that we found, and they're all supposed to be exactly the same, and pretty much they were, but I guess one of the things that made Whataburger here at number 4 in Amarillo was the dining experience, building structure, if you will. Interstate 40 in Grand, where the Whataburger comes in at number 4 on the list. We sat down, we sampled the meat patty that is prepared by Whataburger, and then of course, and folks, the way we actually did this is we cut the burger in half, took all the vegetables and things like that off of one side and left everything else on the other side. That way we could taste both the burger itself and the patty separate. In this scenario, the Whataburger at I-40 in Grand it really stood out. Very fresh vegetables. They had very fresh lettuce, tomatoes, onions, pickles. The buns itself were nearly toasted to perfection. Didn't quite get there. The heel of the bun was a little bit over toasted, not burnt, but a a little bit on the over toasted side itself, but otherwise the burger patty itself, folks, was very, it was semi-juicy, but it had a really good taste to it. The seasoning that was applied to the burger had a very good taste. I was very impressed. I haven't ate a Whataburger in a very, very long time, and I will also tell you the prices have skyrocketed since the last time that I visited a Whataburger. Of course, meat prices are on the rise across the country due to the Iran-U.S. conflict going on. But the restaurant, very clean. Of course, we weren't judging any of that, but it was very clean. The employees were very, very friendly at this location. I also would go, and again, we're not judging anybody on this, a little over helpful as far as being kind and courteous. But other than that, the Whataburger itself, it tasted well. It could have used just a little bit more cooking time, in my opinion, on this. Of course, I don't know how many people out there like a well-done hamburger. You know, you can overcook a hamburger patty and basically char it down. I know there are some people out there that do like a hamburger cooked like that. This one was just, it wasn't really undercooked, but it wasn't really fully cooked yet. Had just a little bit of pink in the burger, which I do like. I know a lot of people won't go that route because of the fear of E. coli. But we did get to observe them cooking the patty on the flat grill. They were indeed using food thermometers. Did indeed get the burger up to the required temperature of 165 degrees, which would kill any kind of a coli if it were present in the patty. Of course, those patties were frozen, like the Dairy Queen, which a lot of restaurants do. And but it was just a tad bit undercooked, not fully undercooked, kind of between an undercooked and a medium. It could have went a couple of more minutes on the grill, although it had a pretty good taste to it. Again, Whataburger comes in number 4 on the countdown. Now moving on to the number 3 rated burger here in Amarillo. This establishment here is a local establishment, but they only have 2 locations in Amarillo. One of them is West Amarillo Boulevard. Generally, it would be right at the corner of West Amarillo Boulevard and Coulter over near the hospital districts. And the other one is located at Bell, just to the north, not even maybe a city block north of 45th. So we would call it, say, Bell and 44th. It's directly across the street from the Long John Silver's. The restaurant establishment is called Huds, H-U-D-S, Huds. This is one of the restaurants, in all honesty, folks, that when we first came to Amarillo about 3.5 years ago, this was one of the first establishments that I ate at. And I will admit that Huds has got one of the best hamburgers that I can honestly say in my lifetime that I've eaten. We tried it that one time, said I would go back, never got back over in that area, and we once again went to Huds and again told them, you know, we're going to be doing the podcast, served us up one of their hamburgers, and I will say that the Huds burger is juicy, but it's not overflowing juicy. Okay, you know, you've seen people take hamburgers and mash them down or smash them down, and you see the grease running out the bottom of it. Okay, the Hud's doesn't do that. The Hud's burgers are not smashed. They are made to order. Very fresh. One of the things of all the burgers that I have sampled across the city of Amarillo, I will say that Hud's, folks, it stands out. And I think one of the reasons it stands out is how fresh the produce is. And I think one of the things that makes the Hud's burger stand out is the pickles that they use. Now, they do use hamburger dill chip pickles, okay? But, and yes, more than likely, these are coming from a jar. I mean, that's really the only way that you can package and transport these, unless they're in some kind of, and I have seen some restaurants use these heavy plastic bags, sacks, if you will, that are vacuum sealed. I believe these come from a jar. I believe I did see a jar of pickles. These were not in a plastic container. We're talking about one of these great big, huge glass jars. And one of the mistakes that I can honestly say that a lot of restaurants make that serve hamburgers is they serve the chips, or the dill pickle chips, if you will, in a room temperature setting. These are the round dill pickle chips, and I'm not talking about Lay's potato chips. I'm talking about the rigid cut little round dill pickle slices. We call them chips. And these are served actually like they're sitting, and actually they were sitting in a cold container setting. They were in a stainless steel container, which is refrigerated from the bottom. They do retain the pickle juice in the bottom of the stainless steel container. A lot of restaurant settings don't do that. They just pour the pickles in there and they don't add any juice to it, which has a tendency of being out at room temperature. Even though it's undercooled from the bottom, the pickles will still, in time, dry out. Hud's doesn't do that. These are actually sitting in, if not completely submerged, pickle juice of the original container that they were shipped in, according to what the manager told me. And when the cook or the sandwich preparer, if you will, is making the burger at the make line, of course they have gloves on, which is required by health department codes here in town. They pull these pickles directly out of the cold-cooled stainless steel container. And these pickles, and we did ask them to probe down, and stick a needle probe down in there. It did show up to be 40 degrees, which we did learn the danger zones of food is between 41 and 135 degrees. This is a part of the food safety rules across the United States, as we were explained. The pickles were at 40 degrees, dead even 40.0, which was a safe temperature. And they put the pickles directly, just as soon as they took the patty off of the grill, they put the pickles on it, the lettuce, the tomatoes, the onions. And I believe the pickles staying at that cold 40 degree safe zone temperature brings out the taste of the Hud's burger itself. Of course, it was cut in half. The other half of the burger was strictly just bread and meat. Of course, we ripped off a piece of the meat, tried it itself. It is juicy. It is seasoned basically to perfection. I like the way that they wrapped up the burger. It's not butcher paper, it's just sandwich wrap paper. It was very professionally wrapped. We were treated to a side of French fries, although we're not judging French fries on this podcast. The French fries were out of this world. They were not greasy. They were fried to a golden brown. The ketchup product that we dipped the French fries in was spot on. Everything is really, really good. And the Hud's burger, and again, all we're doing is judging the burgers, but it's one of the cheapest burgers. And maybe cheapest is not the right word to use, but I think everybody can agree that where I'm going with this, it is one of the least cost burgers across Amarillo. For example, if you go to Red Robin, the gourmet burger, which is out at I-40 and North Soncy Road, right there on the corner. And don't get me wrong, Red Robin has an excellent burger, but they did not make the top 5, I will admit on this. It's a little bit different in the way that its preparation is done with this. Red Robin, even though they didn't make the list, I will tell you that their burgers are very well cooked, but there's too much grease in those burgers. So Hud's came in number 3 on our list, but the Red Robin, getting back to the Red Robin burger, it was just a burger and fries itself without the drink was right at about $18. So, you're getting a third of the price with the Hud's burger, down to about $6.95. Of course, it increases in price with the double and the triple and all that good stuff. But you're still getting the same quality taste of the burger. I will tell you that the Hud's burger is one of the best burgers that Amarillo has to offer, as far as I'm concerned. I'm really surprised when we all did the voting on this that Hud's did not come in number 1. But just in my overall personal opinion, I felt like Hud's should have came in number 1, but it did not. But it did make the top 3. So if you hungry for a really good tasting burger, or you're from out of town, first time visiting Amarillo, again, it's Hud's. Locations include, and again, folks, this is coming off the top of my head. I'm not looking at anything. West Amarillo Boulevard and Coulter, by the bridge, the overpass of the boulevard near the hospital district. And the other location, Bell and 45th, actually about a block north of 45th, right across the street from Long John Silver's. Hud's makes it number 3 on the list. Coming in as the runner-up, number 2 across the city of Amarillo, and this is probably going to blow a lot of people's minds, especially you local folks here. You're going to say, well, this place has got a really good burger, but I would have never thought that they would have come in number 2 on the list. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Puckett Plaza Shopping Center at the corner of 34th and Coulter, directly across from one of the Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurants and the Bomb radio station, 98.7 FM, is an establishment called Buns Over Texas. Now, I've got some stuff to say about Buns Over Texas. Again, we're only rating and grading the burgers that we're counting down to number 1. When you walk into Buns Over Texas, it is truly a dining experience. And I will tell you before we go on with Buns Over Texas, it nearly tied with a hamburger establishment called the Home Plate Diner. They are located way down off of Bell Street, nearly to Hillside Road. But it got, Buns Over Texas got very, very close to tying with Home Plate Diner. And of course, 5 of us were doing the voting, and we had to split the tie between Buns Over Texas and Home Plate Diner. And Buns Over Texas came in the runner-up at number 2. But getting back to what I was saying with Buns Over Texas, this place is absolutely remarkable when you walk into it. It is beautifully set up. A lot of memorabilia on the wall. The lighting from the ceiling is magnificent. A lot of, you will see, they've used tin sheeting inside the restaurant. A very professional looking bar and salad bar, I may add, if you will, but a very professionally looking establishment. You go in, these people have just got, again, we're not judging only for the burgers, but these people have just absolutely got a smile on their face. It's not like, and no offense to McDonald's here, but, you know, I've seen, because I've been in McDonald's several times. I've been dining in there, which I don't go in there very often. But it's not like you walk into McDonald's and you can't even get into the door. Welcome, can I take your order, please? I mean, you don't even have time to even look at the menu, and they're already trying to take your order, which, ladies and gentlemen, I think is a bad thing, because in realization, they're only after your dollar, okay? They're not really concerned about what you want to order. But you walk into Buns Over Texas, and you're greeted with a smile, and order when you're ready. And it's very, very laid back. It's a very slow ordering process environment, although it's a very fast-paced environment, getting their food in and out to their customers as quick as possible, because the assistant manager of Buns Over Texas told me, they want to deliver the customer the product as soon as possible while it's hot, and they will have a better dining experience. And I think any place that we visit, we want to be able to go into a restaurant and be served a hot meal. But there's no pressure at Buns Over Texas. But getting to their burgers, folks, and this is an old East Texas saying, and I know a lot of you up here in the Texas Panhandle have probably never heard this term. Their hamburgers are what you call larrapin, and I will repeat that again, larrapin. Some of you old baby boomer old timers out there know exactly what the word larrapin is. It was used years ago in the old cowboy western movies. It's just absolutely just lip smacking good, if you will. Buns Over Texas has literally mastered how to make a hamburger. Just like Del Taco, free plug for you guys, has mastered the tacos. Rubio's out in San Diego, California, has mastered the fish tacos. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you something. I've ate at a lot of hamburger establishments, or hamburger joints, if you will, all over Texas. Buns Over Texas needs to get a Blue Ribbon Award. These folks have mastered how to cook a hamburger. We sat down at one of these beautiful tables that they have inside of the restaurant. They brought us the burger. We cut it in half. Again, half fully dressed. The other half were just sampling the hamburger patty. We sampled the hamburger patty. It is spot on. I mean, the seasoning is absolutely spot on, exquisite as you can think of. It was perfectly cooked, perfectly seasoned. It had just the right amount of texture and color. It was juicy. It wasn't overflowing with grease, but you mash it down, you could see the juices coming out of it. The juices were clear. They were not red. Perfectly cooked. The buns were perfectly browned. The texture of the buns, absolutely beautiful. We went into the other side of the burger. Very fresh vegetables, lettuce, tomatoes, onions, pickles. Even put a little jalapeno to it. It was out of this world. I mean, literally, folks, they ought to call this the outer space burger. I mean, it is absolutely one of the best burgers that I've had, next to a place that unfortunately is not open in deep East Texas anymore. And I talked about this on a program. This is before I actually started podcasting. I don't know how many of you people have ever heard of Bon Weir, Texas, but it's over in the furthest county east in Texas, Newton County. Bon Weir sits about 2 miles inside of the Texas state line from the Sabine River at the Louisiana border. Years and years ago, and I knew this place well because I grew up in East Texas, and we used to frequent the place called the Three Flags Restaurant many, many times. This restaurant actually made Texas Monthly about 3 years in a row as the best burger in Texas. This is what Buns Over Texas reminds me of, is the Three Flags Restaurant in Bon Weir, which unfortunately is closed. They had a major hurricane came up several years ago. The Sabine River flooded and flooded all that business out, and they never did reopen. But Buns Over Texas, to get back here in Amarillo, has absolutely mastered how to cook a burger. So if you're an Amarillo native, you've never ate there, if you're someone that has never been to Amarillo, maybe we're on your bucket list to visit, also put Buns Over Texas on your bucket list. Folks, I guarantee you, you will not be disappointed. Yeah, it's a little spicy in price. It's hiked up there. But ladies and gentlemen, I can guarantee you it is worth every penny you spend. French fries are cooked to golden perfection. It is absolutely the best burger that I have ever had in Amarillo. Again, it is located in the Puckett Plaza Shopping Center at the corner of 34th and Coulter. And now, who is crowned the best burger in Amarillo? For you local Amarillo folks here, or you connoisseurs of hamburgers, I'm sure at one given point in time that you have visited this establishment. This place kind of sits off to itself, and it's kind of round, if you will. You cannot go inside this establishment and sit down like you can the Dairy Queen, the Whataburger, the Huds, or the Buns Over Texas, as we previously talked about. If you want to eat a burger, you have to order it at the window, and you either have to go out to the very limited amount of picnic tables, sit in your vehicle, or take it home. It's a wide open experience, but it is now ranked the #1 burger in Amarillo according to our little survey that we did. And actually, the city of Amarillo has rated this place #1 for several years in the making. The establishment that I am talking about is located just to the west of Georgia Avenue. And we're talking about North Georgia and Plains. I know a lot of you know right there, there's an auto parts store if you're going north on Georgia. So you take a left on Plains, which is also 10th Avenue. But Plains and 10th, as we all here in Amarillo know, divides Plains and 10th Avenue. That's where it splits. It's still the same road. So you take that left on Plains, you'll notice that right before you go into the curve, there is a Family Dollar store on the right. Right in the curve to your left, you will see a Tootin' Totem. And right across the street, it is known as the Beef Burger Barrel. Folks, honestly, I don't know how this man does this in this place. Especially in the type of heat that the summers provide here in Amarillo. It is an old circular barrel, and the barrel that I'm referring to is blown up about 100 times the size of a barrel that you would see the clowns jumping into at a rodeo. Well, this is known as the Beef Burger. They call it the Beef Burger Barrel because that's exactly what it is. It's located inside of a huge barrel, if you will. The gentleman that cooks these burgers, he is up in age. Right now, he offers a special 4 for $20. We were there to judge the burger. The only way you can get it at $20 is you have to purchase all 4 of them, which breaks it down mathematically at $5 a piece. That would be your absolute cheapest burger anywhere in the city limits of Amarillo. So, away we went. We went out to the picnic tables, we cut the burger in half, slid all the condiments and vegetables off to one side, and we tasted the patty. Now, folks, this is something that Texas people like. We smashed the burger down. Out came the grease. Out came the clear liquid mixed with the grease. Bite into the burger, and it's absolutely astonishing of the flavor that you get. The gentleman inside of Beef Burger Barrel would not tell us what the seasoning was, claimed it was a trade secret, and of course we respect and honor that. But the seasoning, from what I could taste, had just a tad bit of sea salt, a tad bit of garlic, and a tad bit of smoky flavor. This is what sets the beef burger apart from any other hamburger anywhere in Amarillo. Again, as I mentioned before, the city of Amarillo for several years rated the beef burger the number 1 burger in Amarillo, and to date it still stands in that category, and it's also number 1 in our burger survey across the city. It's put together by hand. It's an old-fashioned burger. It's fresh. It's never frozen. It is absolutely down-home burger. It is the down-home burger of Amarillo. The beef burger, the crown of the best burger in the Texas Panhandle capital city. Again, it's located, we did not actually have time to get the physical address before the recording of this podcast, but if you are on North Georgia Street, north of Interstate 40, you're going to go up to Plains Boulevard. You're going to take a left, and as you get into the curve to the right, the Beef Burger Barrel sits right there, shining like a mighty star with the number 1 burger in Amarillo. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, from number 5 to number 1. It's the Dairy Queen, the Whataburger, Hud's, Buns Over Texas, and our number 1 winner, the Beef Burger from the Beef Burger Barrel. All right, that'll wrap up this section of the podcast for this Friday. Now let me move on to the other portion quickly. We've only got about 10 more minutes left in the podcast, 15 to push it to the max. We're going to talk about a new feature that is on my webpage, to alanfitz.com. It's where you go to learn the topics of the upcoming podcast and things of that nature. You can't find that here on the YouTube channel that you're listening to now. But for those of you that are sitting in front of either a desktop or a laptop, or even if you have a smartphone, whether it's Android or Apple, you can actually go to it as well. Just type in alanfitz.com. That's ALLENFITTS.com. And right below the title cover, you see me there with the green glowing cactus in front of my red, white, and blue neon microphone. Just underneath that, you will see wording that is scrolling. That is known as a ticker. Some people refer to it as a news ticker. We just basically refer to it as a ticker. And I kind of want to explain to you, this is actually a new feature that is on alanfitz.com. I've never used one of these until now. Originally, it was supposed to come out on the webpage, alanfitz.com, on June the 1st, but I was unable to get it on the website. I was still learning the CSS coding to use this instrument, but we officially got it on 2 days ago on Wednesday morning, June the 10th. And I want to explain to you a little bit about what this feature, actually the purpose that it's serving on the webpage. And folks, it actually has nothing to do with podcasting. It's just something that I felt like that I could put on the page. Maybe some of you get up in the morning, you haven't heard anything that's going on overnight here in Amarillo. What's going on? Who crashed out on a motorcycle last night? Or who got arrested for DWI? Or things like that are something important. So instead of you fumbling through different pages like MSN.com, or trying to go to News Channel 10, which is, KFDA up on Broadway, and trying to cipher through all of their WordPress material that they put up, the different configurations, and sometimes you click on a link and it don't work, or yada yada, this, that, or the other. You can go to this page, the alanfitz.com page, and it's going to scroll to you just some basic information, and it's always going to start off with the local Amarillo forecast. And this is official forecast information that is provided from the National Weather Service here in Amarillo, out on Highway 60, the Panhandle Highway. It's always going to start off with your local forecast, any, like heat advisories, fog advisories, severe thunderstorm warnings, things of that nature. That is basically all automated on the end of that. And it's also, and I have to manually go in early. I'm an early riser in the morning. I will get up and I will put in on this scroller feed, again known as a ticker, just some of these simple headlines that you can read. For example, what they're doing about the landfill damage and all of that from the Stinky Fire, the flooding, the wildfires, things like that. Again, it may show something that, unfortunately someone's family member was killed in a car crash, a motorcycle accident, something like that. Or it may show someone has been arrested for an unusually large amount of drugs, or possibly the possession and exploitation of child pornography, things of that nature. It's going to show something on there that is relevant, although it will not give you the actual news article itself. You can't click on it and go to anything. Now, what you can do is, once you read something like this, you can then click over to the Alan Fitz podcasting page. And generally, and I'm not saying it's going to happen each and every time, folks, but generally there will be a duplicate. The news article will duplicate itself on the Alan Fitz podcasting page to where you can actually see a colored banner that has the information that you just read through AlanFitz.com webpage. We try to keep it kind of synced in with itself, but I do want to throw up something about the ticker. It's only going to be relevant to try to read anything about news, wildfires, sports, things of that nature. It's pretty much only going to be prevalent Monday through Friday, okay? And I don't work weekends, so on the weekends, basically, the only thing that you would be able to see would be your local forecast. Now, I will tell you that as the National Weather Service updates, and they do update throughout the day, throughout the night, we have found a glitch in the ticker that we're not quite understanding yet. We're trying to get it figured out, but it doesn't necessarily update each time the National Weather Service updates. This is something that is generally put out by the National Weather Service around 4 a.m. in the morning. The ticker does pick it up, and it begins to scroll out that information, and then I add in which news articles that I feel are the most important for you, the reader, and the community to look at. But again, that's only going to, the ticker will work 7 days a week. It's 24/7, 365. But again, with me not working on weekends, there probably will not be any news posted on the ticker unless it is something of great magnitude across the city of Amarillo, across the Texas Panhandle, which would something in, for an example, let's say that another grain elevator was to explode and human life was lost. Something like that, yes. We would include something like that on a Saturday or Sunday. But other than that, it's not going to show anything other than just your local forecast for Amarillo with your daytime high, your daytime low, windy conditions, wind speed, and things like that. We're not going to get in to overdoing the ticker by putting barometric pressure and humidity and all of that in there. I don't really think a lot of people really are concerned about reading that. I think they more concerned about, well, is it going to rain today? Just how hot is it going to get today? Just how cold is it going to be today? We just want to keep it kind of as basic as possible. So again, to recap that information, Monday through Friday, you can go to AlanFitz.com, my webpage, the webpage here of the podcast, and you can read your again, it'll always say your weather first, and then we'll have some news briefs, if you will, headlines, and that's pretty much the end of it. On the weekends, just kind of count on just your local forecast. Again, if it's something that is of great magnitude, yeah, you'll see it first right there on the news ticker. And again, you go to that at AlanFitz.com. And speaking of AlanFitz.com, that's going to wrap it up for this weekly Friday edition of the chat. As always, you can go to AlanFitz.com to scroll down and learn of the upcoming podcasts that are predicted. And I use the word predicted strongly, folks, because the dates can change, the topics can change at any given time. You have to check the webpage daily, but it will post the most upcoming, updated information for the next podcast. And always, of course, here on this YouTube channel that you're listening to this podcast on, you can always look up at the top for the next topic. Also, on the alanfitz.com page, you can also submit us your ideas for possible future podcast topics. We have actually had a few emails that have come in that have given us some suggestions of what we could talk about on upcoming podcasts. Very, very simple to do. Just read the information at the bottom of the banner that you see that says submit your ideas to us. Give us an email, and we will take it in consideration. Coming up next week, community concerns about Toot and Totem and their ID policy for alcohol. It's really hacking a lot of people off. We're going to talk about it and some car wash issues. Until then, my friends, until next Friday, have a great day, a great weekend, and for the chat and the Alan Fitz podcast, this is Alan Fitz saying, until we meet again next Friday, bye for now.